Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Jaya Vrindavanada. Radhesham, 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 Jaya Radhesham, Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai. Just 1 second, sorry. Oh, Krishna. I just want to read Premadana prayers. Not so well versed with it, I want to say. Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivarajagacharya Ashtotara Sat Sri Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivarajagacharya Ashtotara Sat Sri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupada Srila Gaura Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupada Srila Sachidananda Bhaktivinoda Thakur Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupada Vaishnav Sarabhoma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunatha Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunatha Sad Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopika Shamakun Radhakun Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Gangamayi Yamunamayi Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. ISKCON Bhattaman Guru Vrinda Ki Jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bo. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga, and all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Krishna Vasudevaya Srimati Divamrita Swami. Panchakalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhyaiva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome to today's reading and study of Bhagavad Gita. We are entering into the new chapter entitled The Universal Form, chapter 11. It's text 11.1. Arjuna uvāca mad-anugrahāya paramaṁ guhyam adhyātma-saṁjñitam yat tvayoktaṁ vacas tena moho vigato mama. Word-to-word meaning. Arjuna uvāca, Arjuna said, mad-anugrahāya, just to show me favor. Paramaṁ, supreme. Guhyam, confidential subject. Adhyātma, spiritual. Saṁjñitam, in the matter of. Yet, what? Tvaya, by you. Yuktvam, said. Vacaha, words. Tene, but, by that. Mohaha, illusion. I am this. Vigataha is removed. Mama, mine. Translation purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. Arjuna said, by my hearing the instructions you have kindly given me about these most confidential spiritual subjects, my illusion has now been dispelled. Purport. This chapter reveals Krishna as the cause of all causes. He is even the cause of the Mahavishnu from whom the material universes emanate. Krishna is not an incarnation. He is the source of all incarnations. That has been completely explained in the last chapter. Now, as far as Arjuna is concerned, he says that his illusion is over. This means that Arjuna no longer thinks of Krishna as a merry human being, as a friend of his, but as a source of everything. Arjuna is very enlightened and is glad that he had such a great friend as Krishna. But now he's thinking that although he may accept Krishna as the source of everything, others may not. So, in order to establish Krishna's divinity for all, he is requesting Krishna in this chapter to show his universal form. Actually, when one sees universal form of Krishna, one becomes frightened like Arjuna. But Krishna is so kind that after showing it, he converts himself again into his original form. Arjuna agrees to what Krishna has several times said. Krishna is speaking to him just for his benefit. So Arjuna acknowledges that all this is happening to him by Krishna's grace. He is now convinced that Krishna is the cause of all causes and is present in everyone's heart as a supersoul. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamakyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavam Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitam Sra He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Shri Vrindavaneshwari Vishavanustute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Anchakalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhudeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jayo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta-vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Welcome everyone. Please give me your blessings, so that I can speak something for my purification and for the pleasure of Srila Prabhupada. Although I'm the most unqualified, I'm still taking this opportunity so that, I can learn a bit more than my usual sadhana. So we see here, this particular chapter is a very dramatic presentation that's going to come in the whole Bhagavad Gita, because this chapter has its special place. So far, Krishna is speaking, but whatever Krishna has spoken, it is going to come in the manifestation. He's going to show his universal form upon the request of Arjuna. And this universal form has its special importance, although it's temporary, but still Arjuna wants to establish Krishna as the Supreme Lord. And then to grant that request, Krishna has actually shown the universal form, how he is all pervading, at the same time he's a person. This is the most amazing part of this chapter. And also, I was thinking, how is this chapter fits into the Bhakti Yoga? Because this is the form which is temporary. But at the end of the chapter, when Arjuna gets frightened, saying the universal form, we see at the end in the chapter, text 55, Krishna says, Mat karma krin mat paramo mad bhakta sangam varjita nivarva sarva bhuteshu yat samam eti pandava. My dear Arjuna, he who engages in my pure devotional service, free from contaminations of fruitive activities and mental speculation, he who works for me, who makes me the supreme goal of life and who's friendly to every living being, he certainly comes to me. So he's establishing his position as the supreme personality of Godhead. And then he's also telling the importance of worshipping him in pure devotion. And also in the text 54, just give me 1 second. Yes. Krishna says, my dear Arjuna, only by undivided devotional service can I be understood as I am, standing before you, and can thus be seen directly. Only in this way can you enter into my mysteries of my understanding. So this form, what is this form? Who is standing before Krishna, before Arjuna? It is not the universal form, because Arjuna already was frightened seeing the universal form, and he says that Krishna, please come back and show me your normal, the two-handed form. So Krishna comes back from the universal form to the four-handed Vishnu form. Sorry, not Mahavishnu, Vishnu form, and then he comes back into the Krishna to Swayam Bhagavan, how Krishna is standing before Arjuna as before. So he's telling Arjuna again, it's only by undivided devotional service you actually can understand who I am as standing before you. And we see in this text also, there's some important words, key words that we need to understand. First of all, we see the word mad-anugrahāya. So he's saying that Arjuna is telling that I have a special mercy. I have acquired a special mercy. And paramaṁ guhyam, because of words, because of the most confidential adhyātma-saṁjñitam. So the most confidential spiritual knowledge has been disclosed, and this is the special mercy I have acquired. This is the special favor I have received. And who gave it? Vacas tena. So he's saying that it's actually you who have bestowed. How? By your words. And what happened as a result of this favor? Moho vigato mama. Because of you favoring me, knowledge, and because of that, the effect is that I am free from illusion. I am now free from illusion. So what was the illusion of Arjuna in the beginning chapters? What was his illusion? Can anyone would like to share? What are what was the illusion Arjuna was facing? Anyone wants to say anything?
He didn't want to fight the battle of Kurukshetra.
Yes. But why?
Because of destroying the family traditions out of compassion, or he thought that he would be committing sin. He was undecided for the fight.
Yes. So thank you, Mataji. Yes, he was so confused and he was so bewildered. And bewilderment is a product of the illusion. But what is the actual illusion? That he was not able to differentiate the true self from the body, right? He's thinking that if I kill my relatives, if I kill my teachers, and it is going to cause so much havoc, so much sin. And this is the biggest illusion that Arjuna was going through. He was on the bodily platform. So now he's saying that now I'm out of that platform. Why? Because he's saying that I've gone through from illusion to the reality by hearing your words. Your words have such potency that has changed, that created a change in my heart. And Prabhupada opens the purport saying that this chapter reveals Krishna as the cause of all causes. So Brahma also makes a prayer. Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Annadiradir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. This is the definition that we often uh, is quoted for Krishna when Krishna is addressed as the cause of all causes. So why is he cause of all causes? Then Prabhupada explains that he is the cause of even Mahavishnu, from whom the material universes emanates. Definitely you can correct me, but this is an understanding that came into my mind. Why is Prabhupada talking about Mahavishnu here? Because from Mahavishnu, the material universes are coming, right? So in the material universe itself, we have this concept of illusion. But in the spiritual world, there is no such illusion. In the material world, we identify with the body. Either it can be the subtle body or it can be the gross body. So Prabhupada is making the point that, because Krishna is the source of Mahavishnu, so Krishna is the cause of all causes. So when Arjuna is saying my illusion has been removed, he's saying that I am rightly situated in my understanding of who you are. So he's able to understand who Krishna actually is. And we see down the lines in the purport, Prabhupada also mentions the same thing, that Arjuna no longer thinks Krishna as a merry human being, as a friend of his, but as a source of everything. And the same instruction, Krishna says in 10.8, Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravattate iti matva bhajante mam bhuda bhava samanvita. I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly knows this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. So Arjuna is not just listening to the words of Krishna, but he's getting convinced. He's completely convinced about whatever Krishna is speaking here. And this conviction has led him to get rid of the illusion. And he's raising his level of understanding about who Krishna is by placing that conviction. And the same thing he's saying, by my hearing the instructions, because I heard your instructions, today I'm able to appreciate the mercy and my illusion has been gone. And Prabhupada is also saying how Krishna's divinity, Arjuna wants to establish that what he has learned, he wants to share it with the others who are ignorant about Krishna's identity. So that's why he says he will ask Krishna to show the universal form. But again, Prabhupada is saying that, this universal form, one cannot handle it because one gets frightened, because we don't have an experience of seeing such a vastness or ghastliness of the universal form. But Krishna is so kind that he converts himself into his original form. Who is this original form? Krishna, who is holding the flute and who has the threefold bending form, and he is in his two-folded hand. And why does Krishna come as he is? Bhagavatam says, Ete chaham sakala pumsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam Indriyari Vyakulam Lokam Hridyanti Yuge Yuge. Whenever there is a disturbance, so Krishna personally comes. And the same thing, Krishna again says, to establish the dharma, I come from millennium to millennium to protect the pious and to annihilate the miscreants. And now, at the end of the purport, Prabhupada says, Arjuna is convinced that Krishna is cause of all causes and he is present in everyone's heart as a super soul. So he has an understanding of Brahman, how Krishna is all pervading. He also has an understanding how Krishna is acting as Paramatma in everyone's heart. and also an understanding of how Krishna is Swayam Bhagavan. And in Chaitanya Charitamrita, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, in the 25th chapter of the Madhya Leela, Prabhupada writes a very important translation. Krishna consciousness means it is the truth of Krishna, truth of devotional service, truth of love of Godhead, truth of emotional ecstasy, truth of transcendental mellows, and truth of pastimes of the Lord. So it's not just about learning about one tattva about the Lord, but it's actually the whole package that is being given to us. So, and what did Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did? He gave this knowledge by spreading the glories of the holy name and also spreading the teachings of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he benefited the devotees by personally telling them and glorifying about the holy name and the scriptures, the Shastra. And also he empowered many devotees to speak on behalf of him. And we see the same thing ISKCON is doing. Srila Prabhupada has created this society and put everything together in such a way that we come together, we learn about the holy name, we learn about the truth about Krishna, about the devotional service, about the ecstasy, the transcendental mellows, about the pastimes, by reading the Shastras in the association of the devotees. And so Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 7.3, Manushya-sam sahasreshu kaschid yatati siddhaye, yatatam api siddhanam kaschin mam veti tattvataha. Out of many thousands among men, one may endeavor for perfection, and of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. So although Krishna is saying that this is a very difficult task to establish Krishna as it is, and someone is able to understand as it is. But how fortunate are we that we are in such a society where we are able to this knowledge and this good fortune and the same favor and mercy what Arjuna is receiving here is given to us in a massive way. It's a mass distribution. And that is the beauty of ISKCON and Krishna consciousness, what is being distributed by Srila Prabhupada. So, but one cannot understand Krishna as it is. But one has to understand through the parampara, through Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, how he is established, through understanding through his empowered devotees. So I was thinking of bringing a contrast of our understanding this knowledge through two different pastimes that I will discuss in a very brief way. So one pastime, after killing the Aghasura, Krishna was having the picnic with his cowherd boyfriends. And then all the demigods, they assembled in the sky and they were discussing and they glorifying Krishna and they were singing prayers and singing the glories. And Brahma, he happens to hear all the music, and then he comes down and he realizes that this little boy who is in Vrindavan, he actually killed Aghasura. So now Brahma is bewildered. Brahma is thinking that how is this little boy is able to kill Aghasura? Because there is a description in the Shastra that seeing Aghasura, even demigods used to get frightened. So it was being an impossible task for many ages to deal with Aghasura. But this little boy has killed. So it actually surprised and also bewildered Brahma's intelligence or mind, you can say. So, and now he's thinking that if he is the Supreme Lord, how is that Krishna can be eating, putting his yogurt rice and eating with the left hand? I mean, God cannot have such kind of habits. So how is that Krishna can be Supreme Lord? So he wants to challenge Krishna. So he kidnaps or all the cowherd boys and the calves. And we know in that pastime how Krishna manifests so many Vishnus, and all Vishnus have actually turned into the cowherd boys and the calves. And within a second, when Brahma goes and he returns back, it's been already year's time on the earthly timely calculation. And then he's thinking that I have already hidden them, but how is that these cowherd boys and calves are still present? And they're not just one or two or three or four or hundreds. There are millions of cowherd boys, the millions of calves that are actually. So he was bewildered. And then he goes back and he realizes that the original cowherd boys are still there. And who are these? And then he sees it's actually Krishna's manifestation. All the Vishnus, they're they merged into Krishna. And then he repents. He repents and he offers so many beautiful prayers in the 10th canto of the 14th chapter. And first of all, he glorifies his beautiful form. I want to read the translation of that, how Brahma glorifies that beautiful form. Sorry, my bad. I should have opened the page already. Lord Brahma said, "My dear Lord, you're the only worshipable Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And therefore, I offer my humble obeisances and prayers just to please you. O son of the king of the cowherds, your transcendental body is dark blue, like a new cloud, your garment brilliant like lightning, and the beauty of your face is enhanced by your gunja earrings and the peacock feather on your head. Wearing garlands of various forest flowers and leaves, and equipped with a herding stick, a buffalo horn, and a flute, you stand beautifully with a morsel of food in your hand." The same situation before Brahma was able to realize his mistake. Seeing the same morsel of food in his hand, he was bewildered. How can this be God? And now he's offering prayers saying that you look so beautiful. And in these prayers, also, he talks about an important aspect about illusion. Although there are so many beautiful prayers, I have chosen only one of it. That is 10.14.26. Here he says that the conception of the material bondage and conception of liberation are both manifestations of ignorance. Usually we think that, bondage, material bondage is illusion, but liberation is not illusion. It is actually knowledge. But here Brahma is giving his realized understanding that, the concept of being in the material bondage and the concept of being liberated is also illusion. It's ignorance. Being outside the scope of a true knowledge, they cease to exist when one correctly understands this pure spirit soul is distinct from matter and always fully conscious. At that time, bondage and liberation no longer have any significance, just as a day and night have no significance from the perspective of the sun. So what is Brahma saying? Brahma is saying that many spiritual aspirants think that, we are in the concept of the bodily understanding. And when we come out of this bodily understanding, when we are liberated from this bondage, they think that they are in knowledge. But Brahma says that that's not the truth. The truth is, when one establishes themselves as a true servant of Krishna, he is actually in knowledge. Otherwise, he's still in the illusion. Why? Because he has surpassed one concept, but he hasn't come to the real reality. And what is the real reality? That he is actually the servant of Krishna and he has to engage in devotional service. When Arjuna here is telling that my illusion is gone, so he is understanding that I am actually the servant of Krishna. He's able to understand. And now he wants to establish the position of Krishna to others. That's why he's asking to show the universal form. So in the previous prayer where I recited, Brahma uses an analogy. He says that at that time, bondage and liberation no longer have any significance, just as day and night have no significance from the perspective of the sun. When sun is present, there's no concept of day or night, right? But when the sun is absent, then we think it is night. But when sun is present, we think it is day. But actually, if you see from the sun's perspective, it is there. There's no differentiation between day and night. So similarly, the spirit soul is always eternally free. And it's eternally the servant of Krishna. But because it has gained this illusion that I have come into this body, I am believing that this is the body. This is one kind of illusion. Coming out of this body, bodily concept, but not establishing in the devotional service in relation to Krishna, that is another illusion. So in this pastime, we actually learn one important feature of how to acquire knowledge. That is, acquiring knowledge should be through the descending process, not through the ascending process. So in the Shastra, it is termed as avaroha and aroha panta. So avaroha means that which is equal to avatar. Avatar means that which descends. So avaroha means that which is descending. So one has to acquire the knowledge by descending process, by avaroha panta. And how is this avaroha panta? Comes by Guru Sadhu Shastra in Evam Parampara Praptam. So this is what Arjuna had acquired the knowledge. He acquired the knowledge how? Mad-anugrahāya paramaṁ. Guhyam adhyātma-saṁjñitam tvayoktaṁ vacas tena. So I heard your words. So he didn't speculate that about Krishna's identity. It is actually Krishna gave him knowledge and he accepted and he got a conviction. That's why he is able to get rid of this illusion. But you see in the pastime of Brahma, the Brahma's getting bewildered, although he's the creator of the entire universe, of the at least this material universe, he wanted to challenge Krishna, and he was using his mental speculation. That's why he was not able to come out of illusion. It is again Krishna had to intervene with his mercy that Brahma was able to come out. Another pastime I was thinking in this regards is when Nanda Maharaj was taken by the servants of Varuna Dev. So in this pastime, this is the 28th chapter of the 10th canto, where Varuna Dev's servant captures Nanda Maharaj when he goes to take bath. And the servant thinks that Nanda Maharaj entered into the lake of the Yamuna at a wrong, inauspicious time. So he's worthy of punishment. So anyways, so Krishna goes and he releases Nanda Maharaj and he brings back to the Vraja village. And all the cowherd men there, Nanda Maharaj actually sees how Varuna Dev is worshipping Krishna. And when Nanda Maharaj returns back to Braj, he explains what kind of treatment Varuna was giving to Krishna. And in that, cowherd men, they become more curious. They wanted to know that where would be their fortune, what is their next destination. So what do? They actually go to Krishna and they say that, we want to know where we will be heading. We don't know whether you're the Supreme Lord or not, but we want to know. It seems to look like you're the Supreme Lord. So please tell us where is our destination. And Krishna actually shows them the Brahmajyoti and the Vaikuntha planets, and finally the Golaka Vrindavan. So here, even the cowherd men of the Braja village, they are also bewildered. Whether on one side, they're bewildered because on one side they see this beautiful little boy and he is always playing with his friends and stealing butter and teasing the girls and all these naughty activities. On the other hand, they're seeing how the majesty of Krishna. So they're also bewildered whether Krishna is God or not God. Similarly, like Brahma, how can this little boy be God? But at the same time, who can kill Agasura? So similar questions have arose in the minds of the Brajavasis. But what did Brajavasis do? They actually went to Krishna to clarify. So this is the intelligence. This is the sign of intelligence. Today's world, um, including myself, I can speak for myself only, right? How do we approach a problem? That we think that we can figure out the entire problem by ourselves. At least in most of the cases, I used to do it. I'm trying to curb that habit, but it's still happening. But the actual way to acquire knowledge and to apply this knowledge is to see what is authority saying. Uh, how do we gain that faith in the Guru Sadhu Shastra? And it's a challenge. It's definitely a challenge because um, I haven't been trained in such kind of um, culture that accept authority as it is, because I went to modern schools, modern universities, and everywhere they give us a challenge. That doesn't mean that we have to accept everything blindly, but authority has its place. You take the authoritative statements and you see uh, how far it is true, but not in a challenging way, but to see is there any reality to it. That's why we see in Krishna consciousness, we are so much protected by studying the Shastra, by having the authority through different Vaishnavas that giving us this knowledge. And hearing process is such a powerful way because we hear the statements of the devotees, the pure devotees of Krishna, as well as the Shastra itself. It's recorded in the Shastra. And because we cannot accommodate the conception of God by ourselves. That's why there's so many spiritual paths and there's so many misconceptions that running in the world. Maybe God is this, maybe God is that, maybe God is air, maybe God is everywhere, you know. But how do we understand who Krishna is and to come to that understanding Krishna as it is, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam? So we need to take help from the Shastra. Just like how Arjuna has this mercy, all of us, we have this similar mercy to get access to Krishna. For us, what does Bhagavatam say? I selected 2 verses, although there's so many verses, it's like a drop in the ocean, glorifying the potency of hearing. This is from the Bhagavatam 1:14. Tasmadekena manasa bhagavan sattvatam patihi shrotavya kittavyascha dhyaye pujarscha nityada. Therefore, with one pointed attention, one should constantly hear about, glorify, remember, and worship the personality of Godhead, who is the protector of the devotees. So, Prabhupada writes in this purport very beautiful and very strong points. If realization of the absolute truth is the ultimate aim of life, it must be carried out by all means. In any of the above mentioned caste and orders of life, the four processes, namely glorifying, hearing, remembering, and worshipping, are general occupations. Without these principles of life, no one can exist. Activities of living being involves engagement in these four different principles of life. Especially in modern society, all activities are more or less dependent on hearing and glorifying. Any man from any social status becomes a well-known man in human society within a very short time if he is simply glorified, truly or falsely, in daily newspapers. Sometimes political leaders of particular party are also advertised by newspaper propaganda, and by such a method of glorification, an insignificant man becomes an important man within no time. But such propaganda by false glorification of an unqualified person cannot bring any good either for a particular man or for the society. There may be some temporary reactions to such propaganda, but there is no permanent effects. Therefore, such activities are a waste of time. The actual object of glorification is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who has created everything manifested before us. We have broadly discussed this fact from the beginning of Janmadhyasya Shloka of this Bhagavatam. The tendency to glorify others or hear others must be turned to the real object of glorification, the Supreme Being, and that will bring happiness. So Prabhupada is writing with such a strong conviction. If someone wants to realize absolute truth, they have to do by these four processes. That is to hear about Krishna, glorify, remember, and worship. And one may say that I don't have this habit or tendency. So Prabhupada really cuts down using this example. What do you do in the modern society? You actually are glorifying or hearing about others. Now you no need to change. You need to change your subject matter, but you don't change the habit. So you change the subject matter to glorifying the Lord, to hearing about the Lord. And what will this do? This will bring happiness. And this is an assurance of Prabhupada. And another shloka I have chosen is from the Bhagavatam 3rd canto 25-25. Satam Satam prasanga mama vira samvido bhavantirit karna rasayana katha tajjoshanadasya pavarga vartamani shraddharatir bhaktir anukramishyati. So one may say that Arjuna got realized because he had heard from Krishna. Then what about us? So here, what is Kapila Muni when glorifying the potency of the devotional service? In the association of pure devotees, discussion of the pastimes and activities of Supreme Personality of Godhead is very pleasing and satisfying to ear and to the heart. By cultivating such knowledge, one gradually becomes advanced on the path of liberation, and thereafter he is freed and his attraction becomes fixed. Then real devotion and devotional service begin. And here also Srila Prabhupada gives many nice, beautiful points. The process of advancing in Krishna consciousness and devotional service is described here. How is it? What is that process? To hear in the association of the pure devotees, where there is always discussion of the pastimes and activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And one must seek for such association because otherwise we won't make any advancement. And Prabhupada makes a very clear point. Simply by theoretical knowledge or study, one cannot make any appreciable advancement. One has to seek the association of the devotees. And another one. Yeah, this is a very difficult subject matter. Unless one has personal understanding of the absolute truth, there's no meaning to the devotion. Service or devotion cannot be offered to anything impersonal. Service must be offered to a person. So Prabhupada is saying only in the association of devotees we can actually realize the personal features of the Lord. Otherwise, by our own speculation or understanding, we would just end up in, impersonal understanding. That's the max that we can go to. That is also not uh, firmly fixed in this age of Kali, especially. An association with devotee means association with the Lord. The devotee who makes this association develops the consciousness for rendering service to the Lord, and then being situated in the transcendental position of devotional service, he gradually becomes perfect. So, how Arjuna made that gradual effort from chapter 1 to chapter 11.1, how he said that my illusion has gone. Maybe for us, or for me, I can speak again. Maybe it doesn't just happen in 11 chapters. It may take some few lifetimes, but I have to hear in the association of the devotees, because there is assurance from Krishna, from the Bhagavatam, from Kapila Muni, and from Srila Prabhupada, that only by doing this way, I can make some advancements. And also on the end notes, I also was thinking, I was actually a little bit more disturbed when I came to know that one of so many devotees are leaving their bodies. And it's very painful to see that devotees are leaving their bodies. His Grace Pankajangari Prabhu and His Grace Saddharma Prabhu. Although I don't have so much personal association, but I heard from His Grace Saddharma Prabhu in the Bhagavatam classes. And I always was touched by his conviction, strong conviction in Guru Sadhu Shastra. And I was thinking how much impact this devotee has created in my life, to have to, his teachings in the Bhagavatam classes pushed me towards, it impelled me to go a little bit more deeper in my conviction in the Guru Sadhu Shastra. And how important is to value the association of the devotees and seeing the, what is the right word? Seeing the temporariness of this world, it's very frightening, honestly. It's very frightening to see. But we also have mercy. And I was thinking that, am I really utilizing this mercy? Am I really honestly hearing and honestly making this attempts to remove this illusion? I think I'm not. So yeah, I was, I wanted to utilize this association of devotees, and this is the biggest gift. Yesterday this devotee was there, and today we don't have this devotees association. We don't have this devotees realizations. We don't have this devotee going to sit on the Vyasa-san and going to give any more lectures. Yes, he might have, uh, who am I to say? I'm sure he's gone back home and Krishna engaged him somewhere else, but we are at a loss. So at least I don't want to take any more easily of the given blessed opportunities. So I want to stop here and see if you have any questions or corrections or comments. I will be very happy to be corrected, and any feedback would be very nice. Thank you. Please forgive me for all my shortcomings.
Thank you very much. Very enlivening class. I enjoyed it very much. Does anyone have any questions or comments? You can unmute and speak. Or if you can't speak, you can write in the chat box. Right, Prabhu, please. Please unmute. You can unmute yourself. Raj Vijay Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
You
Krishna.
can hear me?
Yes, yes, thank you.
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you very much for your class. And we lot of time hear about this we should stay in association of devotee and here in association of devotee. So what is actually practical happens when we here in association of devotee, or let us say stay in association of devotee? What some practical point or some practical like improvement that happened in our life? What happened actually?
Um,
One can hear
it,
like let us say on the gadgets, one can hear recorded classes. So what is the difference between that hearing and hearing in association?
Thank you, Prabhu. It's actually by Vani, even if you're hearing a recorded class, it's still you're associating with this devotee. It's not just we are sitting in the midst of the devotees, but it's also hearing their, that is also association of the devotees. We are associating with Srila Prabhupada through Vani, or most of us, we are associating with our spiritual masters is through the Vani. We are gaining their association. So association in spiritual life has a very broader meaning. Yes, in the association of the devotees, I can speak from my own understanding, and we develop conviction. We develop conviction about Krishna. We develop conviction about who we are, or or we are on the path of getting that conviction of who we are, what is our real identity. And in this association, we actually we leave all our bad habits, right? Because we want to be like them, be very positive like them. And also, we develop devotion. That's what Srila Prabhupada is saying. Only in the association of the devotees, real devotion and devotional service begins. And in one of the purports in the 4th canto, I think, sorry, I don't remember which verse, but Prabhupada says that, if you're not in the association of the devotees, we are not making any advancement. This is for sure, because we will be hovering over our mental platform. We don't know what is right and what is wrong. And in the association of the devotees, we can access to mercy of the Lord. These are some of my understanding, but I'm sure you can add more. Thank you.
Thank you. Is that Harini Mataji? Please unmute and ask.
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Mataji, thank you for this wonderful class. It was very knowledgeable. My question is, you mentioned about Mahavishnu, right? So I wanted to know what's the difference between Mahavishnu and Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Are they the same, or is there any difference? How can we differentiate between the two?
Krishna is avatari because Krishna is Bhagavan. Krishna is Swayam Bhagavan. So he is the cause of all causes, and he is the source of all avatars. So Mahavishnu is an expansion of the Sankarshan, actually. So he's a portion, he's a plenary portion of Krishna. He's not Krishna. But Krishna is the source of all incarnation that we see in the Srimad Bhagavatam in the 3rd chapter of the 1st canto. If you just spare with me for a moment, I'll check that for you. So Mahavishnu is, see, Krishna has all 64 qualities displayed, plus he had 64. No, I don't want to say that. Yeah, he has 64 qualities, plus he also has some 4 special qualities. That is, he has beauty, Venu playing the flute. His pastimes are very sweet, and What is the fourth one? Leela, Rupa, Venu. Sorry, one second. Leela is the past tense. Venu, beauty, and Mataji, can you help me with the fourth?
Association of his loving devotees, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. So Mahavishnu is, he has all qualities of Krishna, but at the same time he is also different in that sense that he's at work, but Krishna is not at work. So Vishnu has all these qualities, but Krishna is the source. That we understand this from the Srimad Bhagavatam first canto, the third chapter, when all incarnations have been listed. And this is one of the verses that is listed by Sutta Goswami, saying that how Krishna is the source of all incarnations. And also we see how Srimad Bhagavatam, when it comes to the 10th canto, it is actually serving as the ashraya for the rest of the Bhagavatam. And 10th canto is the whole pastimes displayed by Krishna in Vrindavan, in Mathura, and in Dwaraka. So atra sarga visargasya sthanam poshanam utayaha manuvantare ishtanukata nirodho muktir ashraya. So there are different subject matters of the Bhagavatam, but the main subject matter is to come to the ashraya, the final shelter. And this final shelter is none other but Krishna himself. That occupies the major part of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And this is one of the reasons why Vyasadeva was feeling despondency after compiling so many literatures, but still, because he didn't glorify sufficiently about Krishna. When Narada Muni comes and tells him that you should compile Srimad Bhagavatam, glorifying Lord exclusively, and then after compiling Srimad Bhagavatam, Vyasadeva was, he was feeling relieved of that despondency. So, yeah. And Mahavishnu is also part of Krishna, but at the same time, he has his role. And we see another pastime that also reminds me when you remember that where in the Dwaraka, there's one Brahmana, he used to lose his sons just right after the birth. And then one day he comes to the Dwaraka, to the court, and he challenges, saying that, none of the people here can actually save my son. There's no warrior as such. Then Arjuna stands and he says that I will save your son. But actually he was not able to save. And then Krishna takes Arjuna and they go through the outer coverings of the universe and they actually go to Vishnu. And actually Vishnu is the one who is stealing away all the sons of the Brahmana. And Vishnu says that I wanted to take darshan of you and Arjuna together. That's why I was stealing, so that you will come to me. So that's also a pastime explaining how Krishna is the source. That's my humble understanding. Please
Okay,
correct.
Mataji. Okay, Mataji, I understood. Okay. Okay, thank you, Mataji.
Rajvijay Prabhu, you want to add something?
Yes, Mataji. Thank you very much, Mataji. Mataji, you told very nicely that association of devotees, like hearing from Srila Prabhupada also. But like, let us say we are doing now association of devotees, we are hearing from you on Zoom. So that is like called personal association. Like I can ask question from you, you can tell your realization, but by hearing recorded lectures, you cannot do this. You cannot ask questions from Prabhupada. So this is one benefit. And in association of devotee, when we hear, this is my humble request, like comment or whatever, you may correct me, anybody who are hearing. Like in association when we hear, then especially when we live in association of devotees, when we hear each other realization, then we get corrections also. We get corrected also. But in recorded lectures, you will not be get corrected. Maybe you can get corrected like by Krishna's mercy because you are trying. Then Krishna will give exactly what lecture you want, like what need for you. So, but in association devotee, that devotee will help you, and you devotee, so the devotee can correct you and he can help you in advance. That is called personalism. Otherwise, if you hear regularly recorded lecture, then it may end up in impersonalism. That's why Prabhupada made this whole program like Srimad Bhagavatam, come and sit and hear from morning 4 to 9. Whole program is personalism, then evening program. So this is like very important. That's why in association, when we hear and chant, then we get like very quickly advancement. Our false ego is, let us say, corrected properly.
If you don't mind, can I add a comment, Prabhu?
Yes,
Thank
yes,
you.
Mataji.
Thank you so much, Prabhu, for sharing that. Yes, it is so true that, what you said, in the association of the devotees, we get actually personal corrections and comments. But at the same time, we cannot take any less of hearing through the recordings of Srila Prabhupada and the devotees. Because Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, right? Jnana dipena bhasyata. He becomes the shining knowledge, lamp of knowledge, and in the heart, and he destroys. The very fact that when we hear to Srila Prabhupada and we are listening to him, we will be corrected. An example is that when we read Srila Prabhupada's books, sometimes we have an understanding, and when we come back and read the Prabhupada books again, we have a complete different understanding, right?
Yes.
Who changed it? It is the association of Prabhupada. So it is the two sides of the coin. I am not denying what you said. Please don't take me in the other way. But there's also the fact that Prabhupada is present in his Vani. And our spiritual master's potency is present in the Vani.
Yes.
Because this moment, Prabhupada says, these books will be there for 10,000 years.
Yes, exactly.
So let us take that, it has two sides of the coin. So that, we don't minimize any time.
That's what I told also. No? Like, it's not that I'm minimizing this, but I'm saying, let us say, I'm minimizing that thing. But I am just want to give the importance of like what Prabhupada has given the program. At that time, somebody can hear also Prabhupada lecture. Okay, I will hear Bhagavad Gita from Prabhupada instead of hearing Mataji who is just came in the temple or whatever one can think, na. So, but that's what I'm saying importance. Because we are doing what Prabhupada did. Prabhupada said to us to do. We are reading books, studying Srila Prabhupada because Prabhupada and our Guru Maharaj instructed us. So this is personalism. Somebody can take otherwise simple books, buy from the Amazon, Srimad Bhagavatam and read. That will not help so much. Definitely it would help. He is better than crores of people. But come to the ultimate understanding of Krishna consciousness, when he will follow Prabhupada as it is, like what Prabhupada told. That's what I want to give importance. Like somebody can hear at this time Prabhupada lecture, okay, why I should hear on Zoom? Right? He can hear, he will definitely get. But again, on the other hand, he is not following Prabhupada. Prabhupada said you hear Bhagavad Gita class in the evening, morning Srimad Bhagavatam class. So that's what I wanted to give importance. Definitely somebody is hearing.
Even I was also telling, right? I also now will be missing Saddharma Prabhu's classes, Bhagavatam classes.
That's true.
So he passed away, so we don't have any more chance. I don't have any more chance to listen.
Definitely.
So please don't take it in the other way. It's just
I'm
I
not
don't.
taking it.
Thank you. Sorry.
Because I wanted to give importance of hearing in association and living in association of devotees. By Vani and Vapu also.
Sorry, sometimes I freak out. Please forgive me.
No, it's okay.
Thank
Wonderful
you.
class. Thank you very much. Thank you,
very
Lamanglata Mataji.
much.
Okay. Thank you all very
Yes.
much. If there's nothing else, we can finish. Right?
Thank you everyone for tolerating my shortcomings. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all
Srila
glories to
Prabhupada
everyone.
ki jai, Kartika
Yeah,
Matsu Vishnu ki jai,
thank
Kasturi
you.
Mataji ki jai.